You watch someone command a room with just a few words. Everyone leans in when they speak, listens, remembers what they said long after the conversation ends. Meanwhile, you talk more, much more, and people's eyes glaze over. They nod politely while planning their exit. You're saying more, but they're hearing less, and you can't figure out why your words don't land when theirs do, with half the effort. It's not about volume. It's not about being louder or funnier or more impressive. It's about weight. And weight comes from knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. From saying exactly what you mean, only with no decoration. From being so present that your words carry the full force of your attention behind them. Most people think attraction is about addition. Be smarter, be funnier, fill every silence with something clever or entertaining. But the Stoics knew something most people never learn. Attraction isn't about what you add, it's about what you remove. Remove performance, remove the need for approval, remove the fear of silence. Because the moment you stop needing attention is the moment you start getting it. This isn't about manipulation. These aren't tricks to make people like you. This is about speaking in a way that reflects real character, not performed charisma. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The same applies here. Don't perform interest. Be interesting. Through what you say and through what you don't. Today on Don't Skip, I'll show you 6 communication principles, each revealed through powerful Stoic wisdom that make people naturally drawn to you. Not because you're louder, but because you're present. And number 4, that's the one people get completely backwards. So, don't skip this one. Praise 1. Tell me more about that. 4 words, simple, direct, and quietly powerful. Someone mentions they just started learning guitar. Most people immediately reply with their own story. "Oh, I played in college. Let me tell you about my band." They don't realize it, but they've hijacked the conversation. They turned curiosity into self-promotion. The other person was opening a door, and instead of stepping inside, they barged in talking about their own house. Now, the connection is gone. You do it differently. They mention the guitar, and you say, "Tell me more about that." Then, you stay silent. You listen. Not the fake kind where you're waiting for your turn, but real listening, where you're genuinely curious. And here's what happens. They light up. Because most people spend their entire lives waiting for someone who truly wants to hear them, not waiting for their own turn to talk. You can't fake genuine curiosity. People feel the difference between performed interest and true attention. If you don't care, don't ask. But if you do, mean it. Those 4 words, when honest, open everything. People talk longer, go deeper, share what they usually hide. Because they feel safe being heard. And they won't remember what you said. They'll remember how you made them feel. Feeling understood is rare. Feeling truly heard, even rarer. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." He was right. Listening isn't weakness. It's presence. It's power. When you learn to listen without trying to perform, you stop talking to impress. Paso and start connecting to understand. That's how conversations change. They go deeper. People open up. They come back to you. Not because you said something amazing, but because you made them feel seen. That's what real charisma is. Not performance, presence. Phrase 2. I don't know. It's one of the hardest phrases for most people to say, when one of the most magnetic when spoken honestly. See, everyone's trying to look certain. They rush to fill the silence with confident answers, even when they're guessing. They can't stand not knowing because to them, uncertainty feels like weakness. But here's the truth. The more you pretend to know everything, the less people trust your words. Because deep down, everyone knows that no one knows everything. So the ones who can admit it stand out. When someone says, "I don't know," with calmness instead of shame, what they're really saying is, "I don't need to impress you. I care more about truth than about ego." And that hits differently. It's grounded. It's rare. It's stoic. Seneca once wrote, If you wish to be loved, love wisdom. But first, admit that you don't possess it fully. Admitting you don't know is not ignorance, it's discipline. It's refusing to pollute your words with false certainty. And that discipline gives your voice credibility. When you're honest about what you don't know, people start believing you when you do know. It creates balance, trust. Because real confidence isn't about having all the answers. It's about being so grounded that you can stand calmly in uncertainty. Most people speak to prove themselves. You speak to understand. That's a difference everyone feels. The next time someone asks your opinion on something you're unsure about, don't rush to fill the silence. Pause, then say, I don't know. Say it with clarity, not apology, and watch what happens. People will start listening more carefully because you've proven you're not chasing validation. You're seeking truth. That's rare. That's real. And on Don't Skip, that's exactly what we're here to practice. The art of being calm, honest, and unshakably present. Phrase 3. Take your time. Most people rush their words, their decisions, their lives. They talk fast, react faster, and mistake speed for confidence. But the Stoics understood something different. True confidence doesn't move quickly. It moves deliberately. When you tell someone, take your time, you're not just giving them permission to slow down. You're creating space. Space for trust, for calm, for presence. Because nothing says I'm not desperate like patience. You see, insecurity always hurries. It needs instant answers, immediate validation, quick results. But composure, real composure, moves at its own pace. When you tell someone, take your time, you're signaling something powerful. I'm not here to pressure you. I'm not in a rush. I value clarity over control, and that's magnetic. Marcus Aurelius once said, time is a river, a violent current of events, but wisdom lies in learning to flow, not to fight. When you embody that, when you stop forcing outcomes and start allowing them, people feel it. They relax around you because your energy tells them, I'm grounded. I trust the moment. It's not about passivity. It's about power that doesn't need to dominate. A calm authority that doesn't demand attention, it earns it. Every time you rush, you communicate fear, fear of losing control, fear of missing out, fear of not being enough. But when you slow down, when you allow silence, when you say, take your time, you're teaching the world how to treat you with patience, respect, and presence. And people mirror that. They slow down too. They listen more. They think before speaking. Because calmness is contagious. Remember this. Your pace reveals your power. The ones who truly have it never rush to prove it. Phrase 4. That's interesting. This one sounds simple, even harmless, but most people use it wrong. They say, that's interesting as a polite filler, a way to sound engaged without actually being engaged. It becomes a mask, a placeholder for real curiosity. But used properly, these two words hold quiet power. See, when most people hear something they disagree with, their instinct is to argue, to correct, to prove they're right. They turn every conversation into a debate and wonder why people stop opening up. But when you respond with, that's interesting, you do something different. You disarm defensiveness. You stay centered while the other person leans in. You're saying, I don't have to agree to understand. I don't have to fight to stay grounded. That's what Stoic presence looks like in action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you always own the option of having no opinion. And that is the key. Most people think strong opinions make them seem confident, but it's actually the ability to withhold an opinion that shows real strength. When someone shares a belief, a judgment, or even a provocation, and you simply respond with, that's interesting. You're not agreeing, you're observing. You're choosing composure over reaction. Understanding over ego. This doesn't mean indifference, it means mastery. Because if every statement demands a reaction, you're not in control, your emotions are. But when you can listen without needing to correct or convince, you become the calm center of every storm. People notice that. They trust it. Because your peace feels safe, and safety is magnetic. So the next time someone says something that triggers you, pause, breathe, then say, That's interesting. And mean it. Not sarcastically, not defensively, just calmly as someone who's strong enough to observe without being pulled in. That's what makes you stand out in a world addicted to reaction. Because real power isn't about always being right. It's about never needing to prove that you are. And that is something most people never learn. Phrase 5. I understand. Few phrases carry as much quiet strength as these two words, I understand. They don't promise agreement. They don't mean surrender. They mean presence. Most people listen to reply. They hear part of what's said, then start forming their counterpoint before the other person even finishes speaking. They're not listening, they're waiting. But when you look someone in the eye and simply say, I understand, you're doing something different. You're not fighting for dominance. You're acknowledging their reality without losing yours. That's emotional maturity. That's Stoic empathy. Epictetus once said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. When you say, I understand, you're exercising that choice. You're saying, I see you, I hear you, I'm not threatened by what you feel. And that's rare, because we live in a world obsessed with being right, a world that confuses understanding with agreement. But the Stoics knew the difference. They practiced seeing things as they are, without judgment, without defense. You can understand someone deeply and still hold your own ground. In fact, that's what makes your ground solid. Think about it. Who do you trust more? Someone who argues every emotion you share, or someone who can simply say, I understand, and mean it? It doesn't weaken your position, it strengthens it. Because people don't remember who won the argument. They remember who made them feel seen. And when you speak from that place, not from ego, but from calm awareness, your words begin to carry something deeper. They become anchors, not noise. So next time a conversation turns tense, pause before reacting. You don't have to defend. You don't have to explain. Just say, I understand. Then let silence do the rest. Because silence, when it follows understanding, is louder than any argument. And that's what Stoicism teaches, not how to speak more, but how to speak with purpose. Phrase 6. You're right. Two words that can dissolve tension, disarm ego, and display more strength than any argument ever could. You're right. Most people choke on them, because to the insecure, admitting someone else is right feels like losing, but to the wise, it feels like peace. See, the Stoics never equated pride with power. They saw pride for what it really is, fragile armor. And the ones who wear it the tightest are usually the ones most afraid to be wrong. But when you can calmly say, you're right, even in moments when your ego is screaming to resist, you're doing something few people are capable of. You're freeing yourself from the need to win. And that's real control, because the truth doesn't need defending. It stands on its own. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if someone can show me that what I think or do is wrong, I will gladly change, for I seek the truth by which no one was ever truly harmed. That's the essence of Stoic humility, the kind that doesn't shrink, it strengthens. When you say you're right sincerely, you're not surrendering your value. You're showing confidence so secure it doesn't crumble in the face of correction. That's how true leaders communicate. They don't need to dominate the room. They elevate it. Their calm acknowledgement invites respect, not resistance. And people feel that. Because deep down, everyone's tired of those who always have to win. They're drawn to the rare few who can listen, learn, and adapt without losing their composure. That's why this phrase, you're right, isn't about defeat. It's about discipline. The discipline to stay centered while your ego trembles. The discipline to choose truth over pride. And the discipline to realize that sometimes letting someone else be right is the most powerful thing you can do. Because mastery isn't about silencing others. It's about silencing yourself when your ego starts shouting. And in that silence, you find strength. Conclusion. Every phrase you've learned in this video is simple, but simplicity doesn't mean weakness. It means mastery. Tell me more about that. I don't know. Take your time. That's interesting. I understand. You're right. Each one, when used with intention, reflects the same principle at the heart of Stoicism: control yourself. and you control the moment. Most people speak to be heard, but the wise, they speak to connect. They don't chase attention. They command it through stillness, truth, and presence. That's what makes you unforgettable. Not louder words, but quieter strength. So if you found value in this, remember, true wisdom begins when you stop trying to sound smart and start trying to be real. This is Don't Skip, where every word is a reminder. Control your mind, control your life, and whatever you do, don't skip your own growth.